I just finished sanding all the pins and the dovetails flush together. There was a couple issues that I had to deal with, and I'm gonna get a closer look with you and show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see, we have a very nice fit here. Like most of the pins and dovetails are fitting very nicely together, and I'm pretty happy with that. Where I have an issue is on this side here. On this side, I have two pins that the wood fibers appears to me like they've been compressing while I was doing the glue up. So those two here will have to be fixed. So I've got some leftovers, and I'm gonna do a color match to probably like cut a sliver from the top and then just glue another piece on top and then sand it flush. Hopefully that's not gonna show too much. Another thing at the front, I had the same issue with the bottom pin right here, and it didn't look like much, so I decided I was gonna sand it down, and it turns out that I've got a dip at the front here. You probably can see it on the camera here. So what I'm gonna do with that, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to taper both corners just so it looks the same. So taper like probably a 3/16 on the edge to about like an inch in length on the side, and I'm gonna do both sides. So that's gonna resolve that issue. I just added a sacrificial fence on my table saw, so you can see the angle of the blade, and this is gonna go into that fence here, just allowing for removing just the amount that I want. I just finished the taper. I kind of roughly sanded it, so you can see the difference there. But all in all, it looks pretty good. I actually like it. I was afraid I might not like it, but it looks pretty good. So I did both sides. This side was the side with the bow in it, so that's all fixed up. You can have a look, see from the side as well. It looks pretty good. Next step is to fix the two pins at the back. Then I'm going to do a thorough sanding of the box before I run it on the table saw again to put my cut for the lid. So the cut will be running all around, and then this dovetail, the center one, I haven't said anything about it yet, but I added an 1/8 of an inch wide on that one, so when it's cut it's going to look like all of the other ones. So this one right now is 1 3/8 right here, and then all the other ones are 1 1/4. The curve from my blade is an 1/8, so it's gonna be identical to the other ones. So I'm in the final sanding stage of before I cut the lid off. Here you can see how it is important to get all of your measurements done properly, so you don't actually have any gaps anywhere. So that's a very good example, this corner right here. I do have some little discrepancies like this one here that I will have to fix. So what I do, I just get some of the finer sanding dust in here, and then I'm gonna put some super glue on there. Just like that. So I also fixed the two pins that had to be fixed here. Those were the two compressed ones. How I did it was by using the opening that I had onto the box there. So I put that piece of paper and put it where I had to fix it, copied it, and then with my knife I cut that piece off. Then I put it on a color matching piece of stock, 3/4 stock that I had left, and cut a 1/8 thick piece out of it with that shape, and then just glued it back on to the side there. And the only way you can see the difference because of the wood grain changes a bit, but the color is matching. So when you look from this side, you don't really see it because it's just a sliver at the top, Then on the other side, the wood grain would be the only indication that there was a mistake. So I'm pretty happy on how the fix looks, so we're gonna keep going forward. I'm in the final stage of sanding. I'm doing a 180 grit right now. I'm not gonna go past 220. After that is just cutting the lid, and I'm gonna be putting a finish to protect the wood while I'm working on the drawers. The drawers will take quite a bit of time to do because it's all joinery as well, and I don't want the wood to change color with the sun, and because I've got sun coming in. So I'll be using this Minwax product. It's polyacrylic, it's clear, and it's a satin finish. It's also water-based, so that's going to allow me to put more than one coat. It dries pretty fast per day. So that's the next thing. So I'll keep sanding and I'll get back to you guys later. So in my line of work, doing musical instruments, I don't usually have the need for an outfeed table. So I just moved my workbench over to be able to use it. So I leveled it off the ground, and so that way I'll be able to slide the box over to the workbench. So we're going to start cutting the lid. Now two of my cuts are done, so I just made myself some little shims. That's going to be the exact curve of the blade, and I'm just going to put them in there to prevent the lid to be binding onto the blade when I do the final cuts. So I'm just going to put those in. So on the final pass, the blade ended up binding on the lid side. So I had a bit of a gouge into the lid. So I just reran the lid by itself and removed about an extra 8 just to get rid of that. So now it fits pretty nicely. I still have to sand down this one, but that's how it fits now, and there's no gap at all. So just like that. I'll do a close-up. So here's the close-up. You can see we've got a very nice cut all around. The only thing I'm a bit sad about, like I had left an extra 1/8 of an inch here. That turns out to be not enough because I reran that in there. So this dovetail here is a bit smaller than the other ones, but I guess we're gonna have to live with it. And then that's where the blade ended up binding, and I had a bit of a gouge here on this side. So by putting it back in putting the lid back in the table saw, I was able to get rid of that. So now it's just time to clean those little ridge, and then be ready to put the finish on. I just finished applying that first coat of the polyacrylic from Minwax, that finish, water-based finish. And we can already tell how the colors are emerging between one another. You can really see the dovetails interlocking, and I just think it looks gorgeous. So I'm pretty pleased with my choice of going with that finish. You can tell on the box as well here how it looks. So the inside of the box is not done yet. I'm gonna wait, like it still needs to be sanded, but it's gonna have all the drawers and stuff as well in there. So I'm not too worried about this section, but I'll be doing that later, at a later stage. Then I also put a little mark in there with the year of the build to personalize it a bit. So I took the leftover of the 5th board that I had and I planed it down to 1/2 inch thick. From there I cut all of my pieces, so that's the 3 1/8 bottom here, and then I've got all those 2-inch pieces that goes on top, and the top one here that already fitted, and this one fits quite nicely actually, just like that. Obviously there's no tracks right now, so it's kind of hard to get them all the way in. And then this one's the same, I already did those ones. It's like that. So I want to have like a somewhat loose fit, because I'm gonna have the finish on it as well. So I might have to sand it a bit once the tracks are on it, but I'll be able to look at that later. And then those ones I still have to remove quite a bit out of them, because I oversized them actually. This one's the one that's. There's a bit of a difference between the two sides. There's a 16th, so if you look, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but if I put this piece on this side, I have a bit of a gap on the side there, like maybe an 8. So I had to make sides, so I'm gonna have to be mindful of keeping that like that. And this one here has got about an 8 to go, so I'm gonna have to shape some of it. And what I do is I just put it in the vise here, use my number 6 plane, then just remove a bit of each of them. Try to remove the same amount on each piece. There we go. Then we're going to try it again until we get a good fit. So it looks like I'm going to have to redo it again. I got a 1/16 of an inch to go. So I'll put those aside for now. And then after that I have all the tracks to build and all the back piece to make all the drawers. So I'm going to use some of the, I had some oak. It's been kicking around the shop for quite a while now. Like those pieces have been in here for like 2 or 3 years. So they've stopped moving, and they've stopped shrinking and stuff, and they're used to the humidity level I have in the shop. So I'll be using those. They're not all the same. I've got some red oak, some white oak, but it's all oak, so the slides are going to be made out of oak. So I'll be resawing those to about 3/8. Well, I'll be resawing them and then planing them to about 3/8 of an inch. So that way I'll be able to start milling the tracks and all of that stuff. So I'll get to you guys, back to you guys when I get to that point.